Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're really excited about the diverse group and some past winners and some curious people. So if everyone, while you're jumping on, maybe would just introduce yourself in the chat, just say who you are and where you're from. I think that would be great. If you want to say a fun fact about your college or your community, that would be great. Yeah, this is fantastic. So it's 3:01 in the East. So we'll start here in just a few minutes. But many thanks to all of you for coming on. We feel like this is sort of the post-pandemic rush. Everything's going at a fast speed, and we're very excited. Thank you to Darcy for rescheduling this. Beth, thank you for getting the word out, and to all of our other speakers. So what we're going to do is our NACCE team that Amber Hicks is sort of driving the slides. So she's going to pull up the slides as people start jumping on. And again, if you want to say a few words of welcome in the chat and say who you are, that would be fantastic. That's great. And I think we have a good chunk of the people here. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So Amber, you can go to the next slide. And once I give just a little introduction, I'm going to turn it back over to Darcy, who's going to continue on with the program. Well, anyway, welcome to everyone. If you haven't been involved in the Pitch for the Skilled Trades, this is a really fun activity. We've done this for several years through the generosity of the Radcliffe Foundation. Many of you know Carlene Cassidy, who has been a NACCE member for many, many years. A few years ago, she became the CEO of the Radcliffe Foundation. And one of the things that she did is had a vision for this pitch. So over time, we've improved it. Darcy served as our sort of adjunct leader of this effort for a couple of years and now has jumped in full time. So I'm going to really lean on her and my colleague Andy Gold, who's here as well, as along with Amber, who does a great job with our member services. We have Beth Curley on from the NACCE team, who does a great job with our marketing services. So if you think about pitch, and really the reason for doing this obviously is to focus in on the skilled trades and how we can infuse entrepreneurship and innovation into existing college programs. The other thing that this program does is it puts all of us who are working as administrators, faculty, other positions, kind of in the role of what our students experience, which is a great exercise, I think, in empathy and learning. So over time, we've collected a lot of the stories. Many of you may have seen Russ Tanner's story. You're going to hear about those stories today. So when you think about this, it's not only really putting entrepreneurial mindset into practice and, potentially winning not only some cash prizes that you take back to your campus, but also there's travel funds. So there's funding for you to get to NACCE conferences and to continue to engage in the community. So we want you to leave here, even if you're sort of on the fence, you're not sure if you want to do it. I hope by the end, you will ask whatever questions that you have on your mind to our panelists. We can answer them and we can really get a really great group of people that are going to compete. So I'm going to turn it back to Darcy and we'll proceed with the webinar.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your time this afternoon. We appreciate you sharing it with us. Amber, would you advance, please? Today, we have a mixture of a couple different winners from different colleges, as well as part of the NACCE team that we have asked them to contribute to this webinar in order to provide you an overview of the overall competition, as well as some of the things that were that they learned, best practices to help out. So we tried to create a diverse environment for today's webinar. So I'm going to kick it off with Minden Fox and ask her to introduce herself and what her pitch was, and then along with Anissa and Dirk to do the same thing.
Hello, everybody. My name is Minden Fox with Army County Community College in Cheyenne, Wyoming. We were actually winners of Pitch for the Trades last year. We pitched a space that we were developing on campus called Z Space, the Z Lab, which uses Z Space computers that basically help project different items on the screen into 3D. So you can rotate them, you can take them apart, you can look at how they operate internally. And we're currently using that in our new manufacturing center. We're also using it in our automotive department. And we have a new echocardiography program developing in our health sciences department. And zSpace has software that will also allow you to look at hearts. So we're looking at expanding zSpace into a couple different areas of our college. Thanks to NACCE for helping us get them to our college. We're seeing it grow quite a bit. And then I'll answer questions as they come up later, but that's kind of what we're doing, and so thankful that this opportunity was available to us.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Anissa, are you available?
Hi, Darcy. Hello, everyone. My name is Anissa Rowland. I'm the executive director of the foundation, and we were actually a part of the pitch for the foundation. So similar process here. I know this, I've watched a lot of pitch for the trades to see how we can prepare for this competition. But we actually did a pitch for something called our Grow Strong Micro Childcare Solution. And this is really a partnership between Pellissippi State, who serves as the host, and we have a partner with the YMCA of East Tennessee and the United Way of Knoxville. So we're teaming together to really identify childcare solutions. This is our base of what we're moving forward with. But as time has moved on, we're recognizing that we need an overall strategy for childcare solutions. This was a project that has been very much identified as a need in our college for a very long time. And this opportunity really helped us drive and come up with solutions and start working toward that process right away.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Dirk, are you available?
Yes, I am. Good morning. Good afternoon to some of you from Kauai. My name is Dirk Soma. I'm an associate professor with Kauai Community College. Our project was to engage our carpentry and our electrical installation and maintenance program students to come together to look at building a sustainable community using land that we have on the back part of our property and designing innovative ways to create student and faculty housing. The purpose of this was to get them engaged and use a design thinking mindset to think of ways on how might we create a sustainable community that could be replicated across our state. And that was our project. We were fortunate enough to be awarded in the very first pitch for the trades in 2019. So it's great to see that the program is still growing, going on and growing as well. So mahalo.
Thank you all for your introductions and explaining your different projects. Andy, would you introduce yourself and your role with NACCE, please?
I would love to, Darcy. So my name is Andy Gold. I'm familiar with many of you. Good to see a bunch of familiar faces. So I joined NACCE full-time in February of this year as the Vice President of Strategic Engagement, which basically is a job that allows me to work with all of our members, to grow membership, support members, and work with a lot of our external partners to both support the work that they're doing, but to bring new opportunities to NACCE members as well. So I'm really excited to be here. I never participated in the pitch for the skilled trades, but I've seen all of them. And it's a great event with really, really inspiring presentations, and the creativity is off the charts. And I will just say that I've had a chance to visit a few of the skilled trades sites, Dirk being one of them, when we were out visiting with the Hawaii system. And then more recently, we went up to Tallahassee Community College to see their aquaculture program and got to go out to see an actual oyster farm in action, which was amazing, coming from New York City. Oysters for me came from the grocery store, if I was even lucky to have oysters. So seeing them actually grown on the water was just a really amazing experience. So I'm just happy to be here. I'll share some data about the skilled trades in a short while. I think I have a slide on that as well.
Thank you. And I'm Darcy Toomey. I'm the Director of Events and Programs and been helping out with the Radcliffe. And we invited all the guest speakers today to start the foundation of the diversity of the different projects and how they help the different communities in different ways that were specific to the needs of their communities. So that is one of the reasons why we sent out the invitation. So please start thinking about that, about what the uniqueness is, and use this opportunity to ask any questions that you may have, as well as follow up with us after the webinar if you have further questions that come up. So Amber, would you advance it, please? So one thing that would like to do is go over the concept. Becky went over that about the history and how it got started. And then I would like to share my screen, Amber. And share that there's a lot of information on the website. If you have not made it to the website, Pitch for the Skilled Trades has its dedicated webpage filled with information. And one is the application itself that goes through. But before getting into the application, we have gone through and added a lot of supporting information to try to provide clarity to the process. And one of the things that we have done is created a timeline. For example, the applications close next Thursday on September 7th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So basically 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you have all day Thursday. And then it's going to be starting to become a quick turnaround by reviewing the applications and the rounds and things of that sort. So we do have a timeline, along with a different FAQs that if you have different questions, these may offer an answer to those questions that may be up. Of course, you also have the NACCE team to answer any questions that may arise. Things to consider. So here are some different ideas to go over the pitch competition, things that you can consider about, am I answering these questions? And the key to the competition is that they're 3 minutes long. Both the semi and the final round is a 3-minute presentation, which based on our hosts, our guest speakers, I'm sure they can attest to the challenge in that. But also it can be achieved, and it is fun because each presentation is different and how they get to the answers to the different items. One of the key documents is the application guidelines. This steps you through the application process. We try to answer questions, ask questions for you to think through and answer as you put your submission together, and as you put, if you're selected for the semifinal round, how you'd start putting your presentation together. So there's a whole list of questions. So please use this document as your guideline as you start putting together your pitch idea, your project together. Then we have a pitch deck that can be downloaded that will again reiterate these questions about how to answer. So the pitch deck aligns with the questions, which also we wanted to provide the judging rubric so you clearly understand what will be asked and the expectation. And the judging rubric is what is the economic impact? What is the amount requested? What is the solution? So we try to make the judge's rubric, again, mirror back to the overall questions. I wanted to provide this as an overview, along with, we've asked different winners about previous insight. So before the pitch, what did you encounter? During the pitch, what did you encounter? And after the pitch, what did you encounter? So a group of different individuals all contributed to this from past winners, and wanted to share their expertise. So we have tried to provide some foundational information to help you out. At this time, does anyone have any questions? And I will stop sharing.
Darcy, I just had one, not a question, but really just a logistics idea. you may have done it. Just if you could show people from the NACCE homepage how to get to this particular page by, going up to the top there, maybe some people don't know where it is on the NACCE website. So if you could just show them that, that would be great.
Okay, so from the home page, head on over to Engage, Events, and then 2023 Pitch for the Skilled Trades. So try to make that path very simple.
Thanks, Darcy. And
You're welcome.
one last question. What's the deadline for people that are interested in pitching to submit their proposals?
September 7th.
Perfect.
Which would be next Thursday.
Now, Darcy, if I could just jump in too for a minute, I would really encourage people to read over the words of wisdom kind of quotes from past winners. And we have past winners on the line here, so they're happy to answer any of your questions. But just a couple of the things that I've observed over time that are so critically important are, the performance art aspect of this. What I would see a lot with the winners, I remember when Dirk presented a few years ago, they all dressed in Hawaiian attire. The TCAP people always come up with a theme like Frankenstein. This is over Halloween weekend, so there's going to be those festive things. The other advantage, and many of us, myself included, used to work at a college for 6 years, running the foundation and doing different activities. And what I found, just seeing the teams over time, is that you can use it as like a really good team building activity. If you can enlist the support of others that you may not interact with on a day-to-day basis, you can really form some really great friendships. And it also makes for great sort of publicity for your college, which I know, the college presidents and folks like that always really appreciate. The other tip I will give you, even though I'm not on the agenda, but I just don't want to let this go, is I think although you can pitch up to $50,000, I would pitch for what you need. And if you can find other sources of funding so that you can come in with a pitch that is something that's sustainable, that is, say your number is 13,000 or 17,000, and you hustle and you get the rest of the funding, I can almost guarantee you have a much better chance in advancing. Because one of the things last year, kind of everybody came in with the maximum. Just knowing the behind the scenes leadership, that's not really what they want to see. They want to see, is this something new? Is it something vibrant? And, I'm hoping as we continue on with the conversation, other people can comment on this as well. And I would just encourage you all to really think of this, not just as a pitch for money, but really a chance to learn, a chance to celebrate your college, and a chance to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, Becky, that was great. And just to build on what you said, I've seen the judges, sometimes when people came in with a budget of, say, $8,000, sometimes the judges will say, that's too little, we've awarded you 12,000 or something like that. So be really mindful of what Becky just said. And the only thing I'll add, just as a tip, is do a little bit of research about forward-thinking skilled trades. The skilled trades are moving more and more toward tech-focused jobs. So while we like to think of, welding and those types of things as traditional skilled trades, and they're really important, don't be afraid to try to pitch something that's really innovative and forward-thinking. So that's the only thing I just wanted to add.
And real quick, to build on what you just said, Andy, I think this will resonate with Anissa, who's our foundation leader on the call, is if I were you, I would even take the time to learn a little bit more about the Radcliffe Foundation. What are their priorities? What are of interest to them? Because I never knew anything about aquaculture before seeing this pitch. I didn't realize that cybersecurity was a skilled trade until I Googled it. So expand the boundaries. It could be welding. Vance Granville won and got some nice welding safety equipment. But really, the more unique you are and thinking about it from the perspective of the funders and their priority of making and things like that, it's just a good tip for anybody in terms of how you might connect to potential resource providers.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I was responding to a question. Amber, would you mind putting up the slides again, please? Okay, and this is the highlight of this webinar. We want to pull from Anissa and Minden and Dirk about one or two items that you as a walk away from this pitch competition. You alluded it to in your introduction, but as a new team or new college that's going to participate this year in the pitch, what would you suggest, and what are some of your ideas and what your insights? And Dirk, I see you, so I'll go ask you to go first since you're in my little square of videos.
Okay, well, a couple I'll address real quickly. Who was a part of our team? Again, it was the carpentry instructor as well as the division chair for our technology and trades program. Our provost at the time was part of our team because, again, she gave us the blessing to go with the competition. But we also talked to the students that would be involved, and we found that their energy was part of it going forward. We didn't encounter any unexpected hurdles, but one of the great things that we found that by being successful in this competition, we're able to leverage our award to actually get from donors more than 100% of the funds that we won during the event. So it was a great opportunity to use this as a springboard to leverage additional resources. And you never know where those come from in your community. But once they heard about our success in the competition, they were more than happy to be a part of it going forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anissa, what are your thoughts on this project?
Well, I'll just run through a few of the questions. In preparing for the pitch, I thought about it in three phases. The written form, there's a lot of work that gets you to there because you're wanting to define your project, get people on board, and make sure that this is something that can be implemented. So that part probably took 3 or 4 group meetings, and then a lot of individual back and forth among the people who were going to do the pitch to try to put things together. So the first step was to really get it on paper, get that application in, and we treated that a little bit like a grant, if you might say. And then we had to transition our presentation from the written form to really more of a pitch and a sell. And so that was an interesting trade that we had to do, and we had some help along the way. We actually got one of our speech professors to help us in that pitch as well. What do I wish I'd known before I'd started? Pick a project that's less complex. I would say we have had some unexpected hurdles in terms of licensing, fire marshals, multiple, it's great to have partners, but that also brings legal teams from 3 people together. So those were just a few of the unexpected hurdles that we encountered. Part of our team, this is a college-wide project. So everyone from academic affairs, student affairs, the foundation, business affairs, we have all had to dig in on this project together. So as you say, it does definitely bring you together. I think the one thing that was very impactful for our team is that our college president was part of the pitch, and he did a great job. But it just really says something when you have leadership really taking the lead and showing their support behind a project.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that information. Dr. Bellamy, you have a question?
Yes, thank you so much. I'm excited to just learn about this project. We just recently joined, well, I shouldn't say we just recently joined NACCE. I requested that we join and found out we were already members. So here I am. I am from College of the Siskiyou. I'm the business professor there, and I only started in 2021. So I just have a couple of questions. One, I'm learning a lot, which is great. But I was wondering in terms of, and we're talking about teams, what the expectation is here? Is it generally only whether faculty, administrators? I know we'll have the input of students and everybody within the college, but do you have pitch teams that consist of students or maybe a faculty and a student? Are there any expectations there?
Becky, do you want to answer that or would you like me to?
You know, I would love to by way of this photograph that we're all looking at, because you're probably like, what? What is that? This is the TCAT Knoxville team. So you can kind of see the team, and this answers your question, I think, because the people that are included in the photo, this was a $50,000 winning pitch, by the way. Their idea was an electric vehicle, they wanted to purchase an electric vehicle to use in their automotive program. So the people included were, surprisingly enough, the head of their cosmetology department, who is the lady sitting inside the pretend electric vehicle, the man who's kind of got the Frankenstein mask that's trying to like convey the electricity piece of it, is the head of their automotive program. And then the other fellow is from another area. So to answer your question, I think crossing disciplines, it can be faculty, it could be an administrator. If you want to bring a student, I think the sky's the limit. We've seen people get up on the stage at the podium, one person. That generally does not go over well. And then we've seen people come up, with a team within a division that can work, or you can look to other areas. And I think sometimes people overcome challenges. Minden, I'll never forget when you won. I was so proud of you. And, you really overcame some hurdles in the process, and we've all been there, right? Either at work or a graduate program where you have a team and it always kind of falls to maybe one or two people. That's the reality of what you might encounter here. But what's really great about it is people like Minden, which is why I was so proud of her. Like, she persisted, she had a good team, but people got busy with other things and she carried the ball. So I would just say your team can be a couple of people. Tallahassee, I think they had like 6 people. It can be whatever you want it to be. You just have to stick within the time frame. And I think the pitch deck that the team here developed, I would follow the directions. Like, everyone who's entrepreneurial doesn't like to follow rules and directions. You can be creative as you want. I would follow the format and let your creativity speak through the guidelines. That makes sense.
Okay, perfect. It does make sense. The other question I have you ever had student only teams?
I mean, we haven't, to my recollection, because the funding really is not it's to benefit students, right?
Okay.
But the NACCE audience is, if we do our job correctly, we work with 360 colleges. We have about 3,000 engaged people. If we can do our best job ever supporting them, giving them resources, ideas, tools, then it's kind of up to them to serve the students. All that being said, if you have a student that's going to benefit and be part of the presentation, I think it would be great. And I don't know what others on the team feel. I've just never seen an all student team. I would think it might be to your benefit to have, the recipients or the NACCE members, which are our core constituency, involved. But I'd like to throw that out to Andy or Darcy or anybody else that has a view on that.
Thank you.
I'll build on that a little bit. And that's a great question, Charisse. So thanks for asking that. I agree with what Becky said. I think it would be best to have students infused into the presentation if you have students that want to be involved in it, rather than a student only presentation. I don't recall us ever having one of those either, Becky. I mean, it's not to say you can't do it. There aren't any guidelines that prohibit it, but I think if you're trying to maximize your potential of prevailing through the competition, because NACCE, as Becky said, we fund the institutions that then help support the students. We don't typically work directly with students. So I think that was great advice what Becky gave. The only thing I would add separate to that is just practice a lot. Make sure you go over your pitch. We've all pitched countless times, I'm sure, but things happen, you trip up, especially when you have a large team. The sequencing of handing off to other people for their part and then back and forth, that can be very complicated. And the more you practice honestly, the more comfortable you'll feel as a team on the stage. But great question, Charisse.
Thank you.
You're
You know,
welcome.
Andy, as you were talking, just real quick, a couple other teams come to mind, the Pasco Hernando people that we're thinking about, of course, today with the hurricane, but they chose a Scooby-Doo theme. And so I think they did touch on some of the student connections, but they came up, and to Andy's point, they practiced and it really showed. So it looks like Darcy, that Will Kitchen has his hand raised.
Hello, everybody. I've done many pitches, and 3 minutes is not a problem unless you have, I'm going to pick up on what you said, Andy, a large number of people or more than a couple of people presenting, and the handoffs take time. So my first part of my question is, if we have a very complex project with support from not only everybody at the college, but community nonprofits who are focused on the area that we're working on, as well as major industry partnerships. So if we send material to you ahead of time to support the pitch, is that helpful? Like, we've got a major research project that was done by a series of nonprofits in our region that support what we're doing. Does that help? Is it worthwhile? And number two, how important is it to have what I would call the theater aspect that you're talking about? I was married to an actress, so I understand that piece. As opposed to getting the complexity of the concept across. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll start on that one, Becky. I think those were two really good questions. I'll take the second one first. And I think the theatrics of it are important, but you have to touch upon some really critical pillars that are in that pitch deck. You know, you can do it your own way, but you could have 35 people on the stage, but you could have people just walking around and being kind of like actors, but not actually speaking, if that's kind of part of the theatrics of what you're trying to do. I think the best sign of a successful pitch is when the judges have a lot of questions for you. You know, you've ignited something within them. You've excited them to some level. It could be because of the theatrics. It could be because of the nature and scope of the project. But I think creativity does capture their attention for sure. And Becky cited a couple of specific examples of when that happened. TCC did a really good job with their presentation as well last year. And I'd really encourage you to just practice a lot, but make sure you look at the rubric that Darcy referenced and make sure that you at least touch upon the key elements within the pitch deck.
And pre-information sent about the project?
Yeah,
Is
so
that
you want to
helpful?
you're saying you want to send that information to the hotel and then use it during the pitch? Is that the idea?
I'm actually starting to think about the semifinals, not only the finals, but
Okay.
But you know, if we have, I mean, we've got a 90-page research project or report that supports what we're doing from the community. We don't have time to talk about the 90-page project or research.
I see.
Would it help to have that ahead of time?
Andy, I can take that one. And Darcy, I think 90 pages is too much to digest, but if I were in your situation, you might want to bring that with you and kind of like hold it up or reference it. You could even, if you have a copy of it, place it at the judge's table. But I think what's much more impactful is to have maybe an infographic. It's really hard. It's like if someone's ever asked you to write your autobiography in 7 words, but you kind of have to do that. Like, you'd have to pull out a few things, because otherwise the complexity of it, you have to also think about the judges. And I can, if you want me to speak to that, the people who are judging it are sort of either foundation leaders, business leaders. They're not so much academic people that just sit down and just love to dive into an academic journal with all kinds of data in it. So I think part of what you're trying to do is trying to tell the story. But I think, to Will's point, if it's so grounded in research and it's so compelling, might you come up with sort of an impact slide? I think Andy Gold, I could volunteer him for this because he's very good at it, might be able to, help you. We've got some other mentors and coaches that you're going to hear about that can help anybody who's in the semifinals. But, I think there's some creative ways that you could get what you're accomplished. But I don't think, to answer your question, I don't think sending anything ahead of time is really going to probably be advantageous. I mean, you can send us anything, but they're not going to have a chance to really look at it until they actually see you on the stage.
Will, I put into the chat a short while ago a link to an impact study that, if time allows, I'll talk to later on. But inside of it is a one-page infographic about some of the findings that we had about the skilled trades program generally. So maybe that approach might help to get the message across about the research, as Becky was referencing. Yeah. Darcy, I did think I saw Dirk's hand quickly raise up there, but then he disappeared. I don't know if he had something he wanted to say.
Thanks, Andy. I was just going to say, Will, you could just always put a link in your narrative, in your description to that. And then at your presentation, cite the report and what were the main findings, a couple bullet points that would impact. That would be a good thing.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, everyone. Minden, are you still available and like to share some of your experiences with the group?
I am, and I wanted to comment on a couple of things as well that both Becky and Andy and a couple of other people had commented on. We were one of those groups that asked for the actual amount we knew we needed. It was under 50,000, but just barely. And the judges really noted that, hey, we've never seen anything like this before with this augmented reality, virtual reality piece. So we were one of those groups that got more than we asked for. Becky also talked about, we started with this team and then things just kind of happened and I ended up being the only one to get up there and present. We had foundation members, we had someone from our recruiting team, we had our manufacturing director, and it was a busy time of year for recruiting. Our foundation member actually left the foundation and moved to our trades department. And then our manufacturing director, it just happened that that week was manufacturing week last year. So I ended up on the stage by myself. But like others have noted, I had been in other pitch competitions. I'd won past pitch competitions. So other than just reminding myself that, oh, bright lights, okay, I need to be prepared for those bright lights kind of blinding me a little bit. We just kind of adjusted as we went. We had a theme like some of the others have talked about, but our theme was the Twilight Zone. So I was just in a suit to kind of mimic that Twilight Zone. So it may not have looked like I was dressed up or we had a theme, but we did. That team, I would also stress, we really kind of pulled from those kind of, I hate to say like rock stars or those innovative people on campus, but that was kind of who we went to. And we said, we're looking at doing this. Do you have an idea? Do you want to be part of this team to kind of come up with this idea? I would also add just some of the things that happened after we won that award. We realized that the zSpace computers are super easy to pack up and take to different places. So those zSpace computers have become a huge recruiting tool for us. We take them to middle schools, we take them to high schools, we take them to job fairs. When we give tours of campus, we make sure everybody stops by the Z Lab to check those out. We just had some CTE instructors from some of our district high schools here last week, and just the look on their faces when they sit down in front of these systems is amazing. Our state has since put together a fund for virtual reality. And so we kind of took this idea to them, and they've paid for another 4 computers to add to our zSpace system. And then one more piece of funding we got through, I believe it was through a health sciences grant or whatnot. So we started with the initial 5-6 computers that NACCE helped funded, and we've basically doubled that now, just noting the impact they've had with our students and on campus. So this program is growing, and it was all thanks to NACCE kind of getting us started there. I'm trying to think some of these other questions here, some of the unexpected things, some of the meetings. It did take several meetings for us to kind of sit down and say, this is kind of what we want to focus on. How would we present it? What would be our theme? To kind of put all that together. I'm trying to think of some of the other things I would add. I think it helped to have seen the previous year's pitches and kind of look at it and saying, those are things our college is already doing. So there's no reason why we can't come up with something and apply for this program in the next year and do really well. And so that was what kind of pushed us. I brought it back from the 2021 conference in, was it Minneapolis, I believe?
Mhm.
Yeah, brought it back to our campus and basically said, I want an internal competition to see which department on campus can come up with the best pitch for this. And yeah, that was the winning pitch. We only had one other idea on campus. So we had two going, but this was the one that was most developed and the one that we felt was the most innovative. And the judges really kind of agreed with that and shared that with us when they gave us the award, and stressed that this was truly innovative for them when you're looking at the trades. They'd never heard of or seen anything like this. So it's probably too much, but I hope that was helpful for people.
No, that was great. Thank you. Thank you for everyone's words of wisdoms and advice. I do appreciate that. Amber, would you mind advancing? So at this time, is there any questions? Because I do want to save a little bit of time for Andy to go over some of the key factors and all, but what questions can we ask? Or do you have?
It's like
Dirk?
Dirk's hand
Yes.
is up.
Yeah, I know this question has come up in the past, so I thought I'd throw it out there. People have asked, can variations of the same theme be pitched again? Or is it only brand new concepts that will be considered going forward?
Becky, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't think it's prohibited, but I don't know that would be necessarily wise. I mean, I guess if it would build on or add like an extension onto something that you've already done, that might make a lot of, like, I'm thinking when Andy and I visited your actual like site, if there was a way to kind of build on it, I think that could be workable as long as it was sustainable and kind of unique. But just doing more of what was funded in the past, I don't think the judges would go for that.
I concur, Becky.
Okay, thank you. Holly, what is your question?
I'm wondering if you make it to the semifinals, should you anticipate your semifinal pitch being the same as what you would pitch at the finals, or is it like a, lesser version?
With dealing with them in the past, the semifinal pitch is carried on into the finals for most of the teams. Now, the teams have reworked them and refined them from the feedback from the judges from the semifinals. So we do provide feedback, some guidance and all. So are they 100% alike from one to the other? No, but the theme, the concept is still the same. So it's a way to sort of, I don't want to use the word practice 3 minutes, because as the previous winners are saying, is practice ahead of time for the semifinals, but it's also a way to practice in front of the judges for NACCE. And then if you are selected to go on to the finals, you've already had that stress. So
Right.
It is a continuation.
Okay. And then is there, can we anticipate any sort of like AV equipment being on site if we wanted to have a supporting video or something like that? Or should we anticipate bringing everything that we might need?
We do have an AV team, and so we will provide that support. So with arranging that through, I'm over Radcliffe. So if you're selected to go into the finalists, definitely please notify, and we'll work through all those arrangements to make sure everything is coordinated for the Nashville presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Darcy,
You're welcome.
before you go to the next question, I just want to add on though, have a backup plan if your video doesn't work. I don't know, Minden's shaking her head. I can't remember what team it was, but they came, they had their thing and it didn't work. And they were very flustered. They didn't know what to do. I was doing a presentation one time and the sound didn't work. So I just decided to narrate my own video and that worked. But always think about like everything that might go wrong and how you, like Minden, the people drop out, she went forward. So
Thank you, Becky. I forgot about that. Yes, that is key. A backup plan is key. And John, what can we do for you today?
Hi, everybody. First time for us, so a couple of questions here, although Holly asked some similar things. So once we submit the your template here, this 3-minute video, that goes with the template, or is that if you're invited from your template to the semifinals?
A 3-minute video. You can have like one team did have a 30-second video to support their proposal, but mainly it is an in-person live presentation that's interactive. So you're on stage presenting, and then that allows for the judges then to ask questions after the presentation.
Okay, so again, I'm still trying to understand a little bit about this. So that part of it is not a pre-recorded thing then? So
No, there's no
first present,
pre-recorded.
you're doing it live, like via Zoom or something?
Yeah, the semifinal is Zoom from your college. We will set up times and dates. If you're selected as a final semifinalist, because we'll go through all the applications to see if they meet the criteria. And then if you're selected as semifinalists, that will be a Zoom presentation. And the team that presented their 30-second video in Boston did present it as part of their presentation in the semifinal round, but it is a live presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, please keep the questions coming. No problem. Courtney, what can we do for you?
Hi, I found out about this opportunity today, so I apologize if I ask some questions that seem a little repetitive as well. But our team is thinking about pursuing something in the allied health, nursing, nurses aid space, and I didn't see it listed as an eligible trade. Would that be something paired with like technology and addressing kind of like barriers to language and employment? Would that be something that would be eligible, or is that something that wouldn't qualify?
Okay, so I have a response, but I want to ask Becky first before I overstep. Do you have a comment, Becky?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just Googling. In all honesty, we haven't had a lot of that, but I think if you're combining things where you're working with your hands, and we've had some different variations of that over time, like drawing attention to programs engaging students using like digital media, thinking about a makerspace. I know we have some of our makers here if you're making something. So I don't know, Darcy, you give your answer and let's have Andy weigh in.
Okay, so as speaking with the CEO, Carlene with Radcliffe, it has to have a new and innovative component to it. So the example she gave me was you have marketing, that's great, but starting a marketing program on your campus is not new and innovative. However, if you partner marketing with your computer department, and now you have a 3D hectogram image of you in your living room trying on clothes, that is new and innovative. So I say no, I say yes, please apply and let us see what you're proposing. I don't want to say no, it's healthcare, no, it's typing, no, we can't do it, because you may not have something new and innovative between taking transcripts to the healthcare field with your nurses, followed by your doctors, that's all in 3D and using AI. And so that would be my proposal, is to run it by us, submit it, and go from there. Was that a okay example?
Yes, so not quite what our team is thinking of, but something I can definitely take back to them and see if we can flesh it out a little more, because we definitely have an innovative idea in how we want to address our communities, barriers to finding, the right people for the jobs in our community. So this is something we're trying to figure out. And your example was a really great idea generator. Thank you.
So, and please email me. I mean, between now and Thursday, there's a lot of time. So if you want a quick phone call me and say, this is what we're thinking, tell me your idea, and then I can help like troubleshoot with you. So I'm definitely available.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,
There
Courtney,
was
I have a
another-
quick question. You said you found out about it today. How did you find out about the pitch?
So I'm at Bucks County Community College and we're actually a member.
Yes.
But our workforce development side and I've been here like 6 months. So I just found out when they forwarded an email to me today about this webinar. And, then I figured out we were a member about 10 minutes before I signed up. So I'm excited. I looked through the website and what you've awarded, and I think this is a great opportunity.
Courtney, I would just add a couple of quick things. One
Mhm.
is the skilled trades. Generally, it's very dynamic and is evolving pretty rapidly. So if you were to provide as part of your submission data that indicates that whatever your proposal is tethered to the skilled trades in some way, that would be really helpful and would help the committee to be like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I didn't realize that that particular allied health program is connected to the skilled trades. Things like dental hygiene, that's considered a skilled trade. So something that might be like I'm just throwing out an idea here, a mobile dental hygiene business to reach people who can't get to the dentist for dental cleanings. That would be a really innovative kind of idea. One of our students launched one of those businesses in California. So I'm just giving you some ideas, but I think provide the committee with data, and I think that will help them greatly.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Was there another question? Because a hand disappeared. If there were no more questions, I wanted to give Andy some time to talk about some of the history and data.
Thank
Okay.
you. It's Dr. Bellamy. I'm sorry. I had raised my hand because when she brought up nursing, we have a nursing program, fire and police, and I always think of those as skilled trades too, but you answered the question perfectly in terms of whether or not they fit the criteria. So thank you for that.
Great. Darcy, I just need to be able to share my screen. I have a slide, unless you have my slide on the one that Amber has with the data,
No,
but I have my slide.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. So I just need sharing permission. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you right now. 1 second.
This is very suspenseful.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm only kidding, Amber.
Okay, you should be able to now.
Okay. Yep, perfect. All right, so let me find my little PowerPoint here. Share that. Okay. So hopefully you can see my screen. I don't know if you can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, you can. All right, so hold on 1 sec. Just have to make this smaller. Whoops. All right, so NACCE in the past 5 or 6 months launched a research institute, which I'm really gratified to be part of. We have a unique partnership with Morgan State and their doctoral program, and we've been working with several of their students going through that doctoral program. And one of the things that they've done is an impact study for the Radcliffe Foundation program, Pitch for the Skilled Trades. I shared a link to this impact study in the chat. So if you're interested in reading the entire document, you're welcome to it. But I just wanted to bring to your attention a couple of highlights of what we unearthed. So about $460,000 has been awarded to 18 colleges, which works out to be about an average award of about $27,000 or thereabouts. Some get more, some get less, as we've talked about. Part of that funding that we received from Radcliffe also enabled us over the past 5 months to offer Radcliffe-funded Pitch for the Skilled Trade schools to apply and become part of the Everyday Entrepreneur program. And we're really excited that almost 70% of the schools that have won the Pitch for the Skilled Trades are now also Everyday Entrepreneur program colleges, which is really exciting for us to kind of add another layer of engagement onto this program. About 92% of the participants that we spoke with said that engaging in this activity had a positive impact on the college and the community. We were really happy to see that 93% felt that just being part of the Pitch for the Skilled Trades, whether they won or didn't win, increased their engagement in work. You know, disengagement's a major problem in higher ed generally, but in society more broadly. So the fact that participating in this program can help to increase engagement was really a critical finding. 90%, 92% of the participants said that their self-efficacy increased dramatically, the belief that they would be able to accomplish goals. So that was really important. 8 out of 10 colleges received very, very strong support across the college. And for a lot of folks on this call who maybe haven't worked with some of the leadership at your college, as we alluded to earlier, try to embrace this opportunity as a way to work with different stakeholders throughout the college and get to know people and better understand what their jobs might be, because that can really help once you get awarded funding, if you do, to really get the program some traction internally. The average number of students per college that have been impacted, half have served 50 students or more, and half less than that. But that number is changing rapidly, and you have to keep in mind was really adversely impacted because of COVID. You know, we had several years of student engagement in these types of programs not happening. So we are starting to see and would expect to see much larger student engagement in the Pitch for the Skilled Trades programs. 60% of the projects are self-sustaining. Despite COVID, the teams were persistent and able to secure funding to keep the projects going. We think that with this new version of the Pitch for the Skilled Trades and all the wraparound support that NACCE intends to provide to the teams, both prior to, during, and after the conference, will help to increase the self-sustaining nature of those projects significantly. And then perhaps like really the greatest benchmark of our success as an organization is the diversity of the participants in this particular program. And you can see on row number 11 what that diversity came out to be. These were some of the findings. There's a lot more in the impact report that I shared. I'm always available to talk to any of you about anything within that impact study. And I'm just really excited to be able to have this new research institute as an offering for NACCE members. And if any of you are interested in conducting research, please contact me. We're always looking to engage with our members on that front as well. So Darcy, thanks so much for giving me some time to chat about that. And I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you. And we are about 1 minute to go. So Becky, I was going to ask you to close out the webinar.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for hopping on. Like, what a great number of people. This is for those of you like Courtney that just found out about NACCE today. Your Dean, Tracy Timby, is going to be actually presenting at the conference with Estee Lauder. So we've got a lot of really special things planned. So I just encourage all of you, even if you're on the fence, reach out to Darcy. She'll give you a lot of support. Our team have other people. We've got other volunteers in the wings that are available to you. So I just want to thank you for your time. We appreciate all that you do for each other and for your colleges, and wish everybody a good day. And please keep in touch if there's anything else we can provide for you.
Great. Sharice, I saw your question in the chat. The Pitch for the Skilled Trades is an annual event at the NACCE annual conference. It just so happens this year it's in Nashville. So it's not in Nashville every year. This year it is. Next year it'll be in Minneapolis. So it rotates around to different municipalities. You're welcome. All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye.